Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel. This is my review for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, the latest movie from DreamWorks Animation and the 6th film in the Shrek franchise. The first Puss in Boots took place before the events of Shrek 2, and this one takes place after Shrek Forever After, proving that title really didn't mean anything. We once again follow everyone's favorite swishbuckling gato, Puss in Boots, played again by Antonio Banderas. He is on a quest to find the wishing star because he is on his final life. He has died 8 times prior to the events of this movie, so he's on his last life wanting to restore his 8 other ones. Joining him on his quest to find the wishing star, we have Kitty Softpaws returning from the first Puss in Boots movie, a therapy dog named Perrito, and the 3 of them are trying to get to the wishing star before Goldilocks and the Three Bears crime family, as well as Big Jack Horner. And Puss in Boots himself is on a race to try to get to the wishing star before death catches up to him. I have hardly talked about the Shrek franchise on this channel. I have not reviewed one single movie in the series. The closest I ever came to talking about Shrek on a few occasions was when I listed Shrek 2 in my top 100 favorite movies of all time list, when I mentioned that Aladdin was sort of the prototype to what Shrek would eventually become, and I have a video of the Shrek 4D pre-show at Universal Studios Hollywood on its last day before it officially closed and got turned into Kung Fu Panda Adventure. And for some reason that video has been getting a lot of views, and the views keep growing, but hey, I'm not complaining. So this will be the first movie in the franchise I actually review, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. One day I hope to get to the rest of the Shrek franchise, but in terms of Puss in Boots, he was first introduced in Shrek 2, voiced by Antonio Banderas, and not only is that a great sequel, but Puss in Boots himself ended up being a great standout character. So great, in fact, that they actually made a spin-off movie in 2011. And I wasn't too excited for that movie when it was coming out. In fact, I didn't even see it in theaters. But when I saw it, I was surprised at how enjoyable it was, especially considering that it was directed by Chris Miller, the same guy who directed the worst movie in the franchise, Shrek the Third. But I have only seen it in its entirety once. I watched a little bit of it before doing this review, and it's still pretty enjoyable. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, on the other hand, is to Puss in Boots what Shrek 2 is to Shrek 1. It is infinitely better in every imaginable way. And when I first heard about this movie, I thought, okay, I mean, Shrek is a popular money-making franchise, but you're going to continue it with another Puss in Boots solo movie? That seems kind of random. And plus, it's been 11 years since the first movie came out, and while it was good, it wasn't a juggernaut of a hit the way the other Shrek films were. But as soon as that trailer dropped and we got to see the new art style and the animation that was clearly influenced by Spider-Verse, I thought, okay, you guys have a reason to make this movie, and I'm a lot more excited for it than I was originally. And that's one of the best things about this movie. Much like with DreamWorks' earlier film this year, The Bad Guys, the animation is absolutely stellar. It gives us a new art style that makes this movie feel more like a fairy tale book, but it also doesn't feel out of place. It doesn't feel like it's attempting to reboot the Shrek franchise, because it still feels like it's in the same universe. A lot of the characters still look like they belong in the Shrek series. It's just the art style is improved and makes it a little more distinctive and unique compared to the first Puss in Boots. Another thing I thought that this movie improved upon the first Puss in Boots was Puss himself. Antonio Banderas has always been perfect for this character. And this movie, I think, gives Puss the character development that he so desperately needs, because he's always been that cute sidekick in the Shrek movies. We loved him, but he never really excelled beyond that. And the first Puss in Boots movie didn't really give us all that much that we didn't know about the character already, outside of an origin story. This one, Puss in Boots is almost in a midlife crisis stage, where he's down to his last life, and he's just trying to regain his youth. He's trying to reignite the legend of Puss in Boots that he's always lived by. And having to see him go between, do I get the wishing star for myself or do I grow up, is really good. It's definitely a lot more substance than I thought we'd get out of this movie. We also have the return of Salma Hayek as Kitty Softpaws from the first movie, and she's still really good. Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek have been longtime friends and have worked together on several movies, even before Puss in Boots. And in terms of these two characters, there's definitely a lot of friction between them. We're told a lot of backstory that happened in between these two movies that caused such a breakup, I should say. And it's definitely interesting to see these two characters go on this journey, and both actors really sell you on the dynamic between Puss and Kitty. The new cast is really good. We have Harvey Guillen from What We Do in the Shadows, the TV series, as Perito, the therapy dog that Puss befriends while going into hiding as a regular cat. And he's not like Donkey to Shrek. Perito is more innocent, he's not obnoxious in any way, and he's just trying to be a good friend. I love Donkey, but let's all admit, Donkey can get on your nerves every now and then. But Perito does not. We also have Florence Pugh as Goldilocks, we have Ray Winstone as Papa Bear, Olivia Colman as Mama Bear, and just this idea of Goldilocks and the three bears as a crime family is pretty funny. The Shrek franchise has always done a good job at kind of reinventing these fairy tale characters to fit within this particular universe, although I do have to say that in terms of the three bears specifically, it does throw a monkey wrench into the continuity, considering that prior to these characters, we've had this, and also this horrifying image right here. So, I don't know, maybe this is a different three bear family. But I do like this crime family. They have a lot of really fun moments together, and they actually get their own story in addition to Puss in Boots. Both Goldilocks and Puss are after the wishing star for similar goals, to try to get something they've lost or never had. And the entire theme of the movie is more about trying to move past that. Once you've lost something, it's gone forever, so you're gonna have to readjust. So I like how both these characters actually get a story, but the same cannot be said about Big Jack. He is the actual villain of this movie. He's not really featured in much of the marketing. There was another trailer that got released after the second one, which I never saw. So when I saw this movie for the first time, this character came in as more of a surprise. John Mulaney voices the character of Big Jack, and he does a really decent job at making Jack more of the over-the-top, cartoonishly evil villain. Whereas on the other hand, you have Wagner Moura playing the Wolf, aka Death, who does a really good job at being the scary villain. Whenever Death shows up in this movie, it doesn't drastically change the tone of the film, but it changes it in a way to where you get a really unnerving feeling. You know something bad is going to happen at some point, and you fear for Puss's life. Both Death and Big Jack Horner are the main villains of the movie, while I get the impression that Goldilocks was more marketed to be the villain of the film. I don't really have that many complaints about this movie, other than Big Jack just not being super interesting. Although there is a funny gag involving another character that we've seen a lot this year in two other movies. One I've already reviewed and I hate. The other I'm about to review in a couple days, so keep your eyes open for that review. But if you've seen Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, you know who this character is, and I thought, man, this has been a really good year. Well, okay, maybe not good year, but this particular character from this particular story has been popping up a lot this year. And I thought the gag they did with that character was pretty amusing. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm not madly in love with this movie, and by that I mean there's nothing in it that's gonna make me give it my highest rating, but I really liked it enough to where I'm gonna say it's worth seeing in your lifetime. This really has been a great year for DreamWorks Animation. Between this movie and The Bad Guys, they are really stepping up their game, and I said with The Bad Guys that if DreamWorks keeps up this level of quality, especially with their new art style of animation, then they're gonna give Disney and Pixar a run for their money. And Puss in Boots is further proof of that. I know Avatar is making all the money in the world right now, and it's a great movie, but I hope you make time to see Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, because it is so much better than you could possibly imagine it to be. And there you go, that's my review for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I hope you enjoyed it, and now I want to know what you guys think about the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go check out my Twitch channel, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day, and take care of yourselves.